Alright, new patch, new characters, so you know what that means. It's time to see where they've landed on the tier list. We're here again at pridewin.gg, taking a look at the Wuthering Waves tier list for patch 2.4 part 1, and y'all know why we're here. Everyone knows why we're here. The character of all time came out, Cartethyia, and let's just go out and say this right at the beginning, right? She might literally be the best character in the entire game, straight up, hands down. In fact, Pridewin, in their changelog, mentioned that they were considering making her the only tier 0 character, bumping down literally everybody else, including Zani and Carlotta. But they decided because it's like so early on, and I would agree with that statement, it's so early on that you shouldn't go ahead and come right out at the very, very beginning on day one and say that this character is better than the two characters that have been competing for the top slot. If you're not like 100% definitively sure, and they do really feel confident that this might be the case, that Cartethyia is the best, but they just wanted to give it some time and see if, we can maybe test out and see if Carlotta and Zani still hold up, or if maybe it's time to make a big change and make Cartethyia the only tier 0 character, which would be crazy. Anyway, so we are going to be going over the weapon situation as usual, because this one is an interesting one, because there's not a whole lot of options, but of course you still have the Emerald of Genesis as usual with any sword character. Obviously, we're going to be going over teams as well, rotations and whatnot, yada yada. But first, I wanted to go over a couple of things about Cartethyia, and real quick, I have a giveaway that I was planning to do for this video, so let's go ahead and go over that. So like usual, Kuro gave me 40 codes. They're one-time use only, so I'm going to give away 10 of those different codes each to 4 different viewers. That are going to change things up this time around instead of giving them out individually. So go ahead, like this video, leave a comment down below, something goofy about Cartethyia or something you hate about me, I don't know, that I smell bad or I sound like Nathan Fillion or something like that, and we'll go ahead and give you guys out a bunch of codes. I'll comment back on the comment that you made on the video, and that way we can get in touch and give you guys the codes. But now on to Cartethyia, right? So Cartethyia, we all knew this was coming, right? We all knew this was coming, right? In 2.0, when she came out, all acting like a mystery, waiting to be solved, and then 4 or 5 patches later, it's actually getting solved, and she's releasing as the best thing under the sun, pretty much, but Kuro likes to keep things, pretty balanced out here, so she's not necessarily gapped anybody too hard or anything like that, so she remains, these other characters, I should say, remain competitive with each other, including Cartethyia, so I think that's pretty good, especially since, Pridewin was considering leaving her in her own tier, a tier 0 solo character, right? Solo carry and the best one in the game, and she may very well have that moment eventually in the future, but they didn't do it immediately because things are still not necessarily so separated between them in terms of their DPS output. Especially something I wanted to note, with Cartethyia, you really do need to have the best conditions, you really do need to have her firing off really, really well in order for her to be able to meet her true potential, but she's still very powerful outside of that true potential. But in that true potential, she's the best character in the entire game. That is hands down the way it goes. At her full potential, she's the best. That's the way it is. Oh, and I almost forgot. Although she wants to be built around crit, she's an HP scaling character. So she's an alt scaler, so definitely be picking up those HP pieces, looking for crit on them, and be holding onto those rather than trashing them away like you normally do. Something to keep in mind. All right, so the weapon situation. This is not good. I'm not gonna lie, this isn't super great. You have her signature weapon, which is a huge improvement, a huge improvement, massive improvement upon the Emerald of Genesis, which is of course the old reliable, the tried and true. This is our baseline that we always use when we're using a sword weapon, right? And then look, count them, 0 purple tier options here. That's insane, okay? Now everyone should have Emerald of Genesis, so everyone should be okay sitting here, but if you want an improvement upon that, what, do you have Red Spring, Camellia signature weapon? This is a less than 5% improvement upon the baseline, which is Emerald of Genesis. That's not very good, I'm not going to lie, as far as options are concerned. So hopefully eventually we get something better, but part of that is of course probably going to be because of her alt scaling here. Let's take a look at the signature weapon so we can kind of get a realization of why there might be not that many options. Max HP is increased by 12%, 15 seconds after casting intro skill or basic attack. She ignores 8% of the target's defense while dealing damage. If the target has at least 1 stack of arrow erosion, the damage taken by the target is amplified by 20%. Okay, a very good static effect, right? But you also have the stat stick stuff. You have her HP here at 72.2%, which is nuts. I think we see that with the energy regen. Like, you see a huge number like that with on Flickering Valor. Remember when we saw that, how crazy that was? Yeah, that's the kind of the same feeling we get when we see something like this. Now, yeah, there's no crit value here on this weapon, so you're going to have to do that all yourself, so keep that in mind. Don't just immediately assume this has crit value on it when you're building. Just keep that in mind. But yeah, the signature weapon situation, kind of unfortunate. Most people just going to be running Emeralds of Genesis and waiting for hopefully something better in the future, unless they have Red Spring or are willing to go for the SIG. Now, check the link below, because we have also some basic rotations here that you guys can check out here on Pridewin that you can go to. I'll link this down below for you in the description. This is the basic rotation that you could use, which is a very easy one to be able to perform, but there's also some other tricks and things that you could use on top of that in case you were interested in doing so, which I'm sure some of you guys will. But let's go ahead and go over the teams now, which obviously we're going to have Chiakona, Chikorita here is the best support you could be able to pair with Cartethyia. And we also have the quick swap team here, the expert quick swap team with Chang Li. Obviously, that's going to be not wanted to be used by most people because they're not going to be quick swapping, but most people can be able to perform well and will perform very well. It's their best team, for gosh sake, you know, in most cases, is with Chikorita over here. So we also have, of course, the old reliable, once again, the tried and true Sonya. Okay, this character is once again the free-to-play god out here, and even the whales out here be using Sonya because she's just that good. You know what I mean? So there's always going to be an option for you with Cartethyia when you have a Sonya in the world, so you don't have to have a like full-blown, you know what I mean, 5-star team in order to be able to play her. That is a good thing. You know, you even see Arrow Rover here as an option for your sustain, so everyone has her, you know, or him, whoever you chose, right? And then, of course, you have Shorekeeper, but having a free-to-play option, having a free-to-play team for such a powerful character that most people are going to really want to invest into, yeah, like, this is a pretty good, like, situation for people, a good barrier of entry for newer players, besides the weapon situation, of course. But as far as teams are concerned, everyone should be able to play as far as like having a team is concerned. Now, of course, don't forget, if you wanted to use Verena or needed to use Verena because you're using like Shorekeeper or somebody else on another team, you have Verena as an option. Just keep that in mind. Now, bro, for Echoes, you didn't need me to tell you this. Like, she just got her own signature set, okay? So, bro, like, obviously, Windward Pilgrimage is the way to go. Now, you could go with Gusts of Vulcan. You know, this is obviously an option, but you're gonna want to farm out the new set. Like, dude, it is kind of like a... like, what is that, like almost 7% fall off? Like, I would say if it wasn't as high that like maybe you could just roll with Gusts of Wind, but eventually I think everyone should try to roll her signature set. That's why it's there, right? And of course you have like building her, there's the crit damage, crit rate option. You could roll the 3 cost with HP or crit damage rather than going just arrow. You know, that is definitely an option as well. So wanted to point that out. But you would go 4-4-1-1-1 and 4-3-3-1-1 in those different setups. And of course, with the 1 cost, don't forget like HP. She's an HP scaler. But as usual, link is in the description if you wanted like just a reference point for like a substat priority over here on Pridewin. You also have a priority list over here for the different skills. Like the Forte Circuit is the main priority, Res Liberation, Basic Attack, Resonance Skill, and then Intro Skill. Now she has AoE, she has Control, Gather, Erosion, she's an ult-based character. Now, and she continues the erosion-based synergy that we were expecting to see for a DPS when Ciabatta Bread came into the game. So this was something we were expecting, and it ended up being friggin' Cartethyia. And as you might expect in Whimpering Waste, well, the abilities that we just pointed out, the synergies that she does have, yeah, they're gonna go pretty well, go pretty hard over here in Whimpering Waste. Now, that doesn't make her, like, the best character. It's gonna be hard to beat somebody like Camellia, of course, you know, Jian, you know, some of these characters like, you know, Chang Li, like, works on so many, she's a glue piece for so many different, like, quick swap teams and stuff like that for this mode. Like, it's hard to beat something like that, despite her being so good for the mode, but she's viable. Someone like, a lot like Carlotta, like, when positioned really well and when, like, everything goes right, she can really, really pop off. Some domains, some stages, like, she's just not gonna work well in. Especially if there's resistance against her, for example. Same thing going on with like Cartethyia from like what I've experienced at least so far, is that she basically does not necessarily shine as well as some of these other characters due to needing like the right positioning or just not having things sync up as well as some of these other characters above her. Now, is Cartethyia releasing as, I mean, dude, the best DPS potential in the entire game? Like, how could you sit here and like not look at that as like a thing, right? Obviously, this is like not necessarily a power creep situation, but that's obviously a question that's going to be on the table. Is this a problem for the game? No. Could you imagine if she released and she wasn't probably, or at least in the running for best character for DPS in the entire game? Bro, people would like, remember how upset people were when the anniversary rewards weren't all that great? Because people were expecting a certain thing and just did not get it, but it was like a fair expectation to have, right? Like, you're gonna have the same thing with Cartethyia if she doesn't release, if she's supposed to be a DPS and have that crazy synergy with, you know, Ciabatta Bread over here. Like, bro, like, of course she's gonna release as the best DPS character in the game, or at least one of, if not the best, right? That's basically where she's at right now. Bro, duh. Like, hello, duh. And she's not, like, gapping so hard on Zani and, like, Carlotta so much that you basically have her in her own tier right out of the gate with Pride, when no. Like, at the very least, it's a question mark. We're questioning as a community whether she's the best and whether we should do it. A lot of us in the comments are probably going to be saying, yeah, this is the best. Why are you even questioning it, bro? Like, so, is it a bad thing? I don't think so. Because it's not, like, gapping so hard like Miyabi is in, like, Zenless Zone Zero, for example. Like, that was kind of like not so chill. Like, don't get me wrong, like, I'm glad she's the best and that makes the most sense, but that's just too big of a gap, right? And so I like that this is a small gap that like makes her more competitive, but not so much more that like people should feel like absolute FOMO, like their account's ruined. And yo, I actually missed the last tier list video, so I want to just point out, of course, we did get some changes such as Jinzhou getting dropped down. I'm not sure if we mentioned that in the last tier list video or not. She does have the Expert +1 tag on her though, so when played really well, you can see her up here at tier 0. So for the Jinzhou fans out there that bought her skin and then watched her drop down like only like a month or two later, yeah, it's fine, guys. It's okay. You guys can still play hard and still get your tier 0 placement, okay? Just it's okay. And now you see Spectro Frazzle Phoebe dropping down a little bit here. That's kind of interesting, isn't it? But then you see her here as a supportive role character, a sub DPS character for Zani, which I think we all knew was happening, right? There's literally that cutscene in the game where literally they're working together and they both use a Frazzle ability, like, and a Spectro ability, and the synergy was there, literally writing on the wall, bro. You knew that she was going to be sit there behind Zani the entire time. You just didn't know which one was going to be the main DPS. Turns out it's Zani, and so it makes sense that she fits better as the sub DPS on this team comp than like a main DPS, like more hyper carry style. And bro, how the mighty have fallen. Jian, bro, this character was like one of the most desired characters on launch because she was a Swiss Army knife. She could literally do it all because launch wasn't as like powerful as it is now, and now she's been brought down here to tier 3 as a hybrid unit. Brother, that hurts, okay? That hurts. Okay, you're down here hanging out with Ling Yang, okay? You're on the bus with Ling Yang. On the back of it, you know, with all the smelly kids, okay? It's not fun, okay? That sucks. I'm sorry about that. That blows. Yang getting dropped down. I mean, what's to be expected when you see other sub DPS characters that are more competitive that fit the same exact element that she is. I mean, bro, I mean, what you gonna do? Ciabatta Bread, like she's a 10 out of 10 right now. I mean, bro, even as a DPS, she's even on here because she is actually competitive as a DPS. That is how strong she is. She has her own damage output. She's not just a supportive role character. That's nuts, bro. Okay, now you also saw where to go. Okay, you got, what is it, Cantarella over here. Okay, this hurts to see. This happened so quick. She got brought down a tier already. That's nuts. Don't worry, she'll be coming back up again. Yeah, just wait and see. Okay, just wait and see. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink on that one. Okay. And then, yeah, of course, you have this new, like, Arrow Rover getting pulled up a tier because you had Synergy coming out with the final missing piece to this, like, Exodia sort of style, like, Arrow Dream Team, this new erosion synergy that's been brewing over the last couple of patches or so. So let me know if you're, happy about the Cartethia's performance. Let me know if you're excited, if you pulled this character or not, if you lost the 50-50, yada yada. And if you like this kind of stuff, consider leaving a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.